Hello friends, Heidi here from Rain Country. God is good all the time, and I'm here for another Monday This and That vlog where I talk about all kinds of different topics. A lot of times I'm answering questions that have come in the past week, giving you updates of projects going on, and whatever I feel like talking about. So hopefully that explained what these videos are about, and let's get to the first topic of today, and that is talking about dragon fruit. For years, I've seen dragon fruit show up in our local store, the pink ones, and they always look so interesting. I always wanted to try it, but back then they were like $8, $7 or $8 a piece. And I'm like, I don't want to pay that much money for one and just really hate it. But at the same time, how am I ever going to know if I don't try it? So I never did. And then I heard people say, they're just kind of so-so. And then when Misfits Market, I think last year, finally got the pink ones in, and they were half the price than I'd ever seen. I think it was like $3.50 to $4. So I bought one or two of the pink ones, and I had the same reaction. It was okay. Then the very next time I went to do an order, they had the yellow dragon fruits. And I thought, well, I'll give those a try. I love them. Definitely much more flavor. Maybe not quite as pretty as the pink ones, but to me, they definitely taste better, and I love them. And they're one of those splurgers I'll do once a year when Misfits Market gets them in. So I ordered 4 of them, and obviously to make the most out of them, since they're still not cheap at $4 a pop, I started a batch of vinegar. And all I did was, as I was working through the dragon fruits, I started with just 1 peel, then I added 2. I chopped each peel in each half of peel, because I would eat half of the dragon fruit at a time. I'd chop it into 2 to 4 pieces and then put the peel in there. So if you've never had dragon fruit, there's a lot, just like any fruit, there's a lot of things you can do with it. But what I like to do is just use the peel, cut it in half, use the peel as the bowl itself, and then eat the fruit right out of the peel with a spoon, just like you're eating pudding or something. And I love the seeds. The seeds, you can just crunch them right up and they're kind of crispy. And remember, there's a lot of good, healthy benefits in a lot of your seeds. So got to make sure you eat those up, and chewing them is going to be best, because any seed's going to have a protective coating that if you just swallow them, they're just going to pass right through you. But so chewing them is going to break all that open so you can get all the benefits inside the seeds. But anyway, then I just toss it in there as I go. So some people wonder, well, I only have a few peels to start with. I don't want to eat a whole bunch of oranges or a whole bunch of bananas. It's like, no, you can start the vinegar with just 1 peel. I just fill the jar like halfway full with water. I go ahead and put usually the full amount of sugar I'm going to put in there, which in this case, since I'm really not sure how much sugar's in these peels, how much sweetness might be left in there, I went ahead and put at least a 1/3 cup of sugar in there. Or a lot of times when I'm doing fruit peel vinegars, I'll do around a 1/4 cup, but I sometimes go up to a 1/3 cup if I feel like there's not enough sugar in whatever I'm putting in there. And then when I'm doing herbs, this is a 1/2 gallon, by the way. Then when I'm doing herbs, something with no sugar, I go up to a 1/2 cup of sugar. So anyway, and honey, by the way, you can use raw honey too. It works great for making vinegar. So yeah, I just add the peels in there, chop them up, take my chopstick and stir it up, which by the way, oh, look at the top. Look at those bubbles. It looks really good. And then I would just stir everything in there real good. And I did manage, I wasn't sure if that was going to get that last dragon fruit peel in there, but it managed to just fit without overflowing my jar. So that's what's going on there. And I did go ahead and order 4 more, and I'm glad I did, because they're now no longer available. It's usually a real short time span that such things are available. So next week you'll probably see another jar of dragon fruit peel vinegar sitting on my counter. And then right here is the pineapple vinegar you would have seen from last week's video that I started. Same thing there. So sometimes I don't buy fruits like this very often because they can be kind of expensive, but sometimes it is nice just to have, it's a nice snack. So when you're getting organic fruit, I don't mind paying that extra, because then I can enjoy the fruit, and then take the peels and then make something out of the peels as well. And then when the vinegar is all done, the peels are still going to get used because they're going to get thrown out to the chickens and the garden, and the chickens will peck at any of the fruit or anything that may be still intact on the peel and leave the rest to compost in the garden. So it gets used completely that way. And then the other thing I want to mention, I'm going to shoot another separate video a little more in depth on this, but I say this every so often, is that people who are getting new into gardening, a lot of people will look at zones and think, okay, well, I can plant this and that, or I should plant this and that because this person lives in this zone and they can grow all this stuff, so I can too. Well, most people fail to realize, just like I did when I really started getting serious into gardening, that zones only refer to the hardiness, the winter hardiness. So how well a plant, if you're talking a perennial, if it's going to survive through the winter and come back the next year. That is where the zone comes into play, but it has nothing to do with any other aspects of a climate, soil conditions, and so on. So this is the example I always like to give. Deep South Homestead, who live in the deep South where it's hot a good part of the year, are in the same zone as us in the north here on the peninsula of Washington State, where it's cool and very wet all year round. We have the same zones, but we cannot grow all the same things. There's a lot of things they can grow that we cannot, and there's things that we can grow really well that love all the wetness around here that they're not going to be able to grow as well. So you cannot use it as a guideline. So I bring this up because I only heard it through the grapevine. I don't know how true it is that supposedly they're changing these zones out there, so everything's going to change. Well, to me, that doesn't matter, because that's not the indicating factor of what I'm going to grow. It's going to be about what I can get climatized to my area, about what likes a lot of rain and cooler temperatures, and then planting times are going to change year by year. And it depends on just how cold the temperatures are going to continue into the spring and even early summer, which each year seems to get later and later. Last year wasn't so bad, but typically what I've seen over the past several years, our summers are getting shorter and shorter. And then we'll have this one little spurt of really hot weather, and then it goes back to being cool again. So the main point of what I'm sharing is that even your neighbor next door can have very different conditions, microclimate, soil conditions. There's various things that can have a say in what's going to do best. So the best way to learn and to grow things is simply by getting started and not putting it off any longer and just doing it, because you'll learn the most by doing. So moving on to this, you're probably wondering why I've got a pillow sitting back here. A couple weeks ago, I had a follower that was asking me what kind of pillow I use. And I'm like, wow, that's something that really needs an overhaul. And I'll tell you that years ago, I did buy some feather pillows. And at first, I really loved them. But they weren't very expensive pillows. I think I only paid $10 a piece. And I was surprised, ooh, $10 a piece or $15 a piece for these pillows. And they were great at first. I loved them. But, I'm sure when it comes to feather pillows, that it could be that quality really matters there, or price matters. And even though they started out good, after a while the feathers inside started to clump together, where it felt like whole birds were trying to put themselves back together, and so you had these big lumps in your pillow that you could not, without ripping the pillow open, you could not spread them back out again. It was terrible. And on top of that, sometimes those quills, they can have some pretty sharp quills in there. And one time I slipped my arm under the pillow, and put my arm under there like I often do, and ended up with a big scratch that went clear up my arm and took like a week or two to fully heal. It was not fun. It really hurt. So I'm like, okay, no more with the feather pillows. I had to get rid of them. I even tried opening them up and taking all the feathers out, see if there was anything to be done with them. No. I mean, those things were knotted together. There was no getting those apart. They were just big, big, hard clumps of feathers. So after I got this question, I decided, and this is another video I'll be doing more details on later so I can give you a better update. So I decided to do some searching to see what kind of more natural pillows are out there, because we just had to revert back to our polyfill pillows, which really aren't that healthy in there. And it's time to get new pillows. They don't wash up well. Everything clumps in there. So I found this pillow that is an organic cotton filled, 100% cotton filled, and it's got its own cotton pillowcase. So it comes with this pillowcase, and then this is cotton as well. And normally if it's something like this, I would put this on the inside, but because this pillow is so new, and because of the way it is, I left this zipper here so I could keep adjusting it as needed, which is why I went with this pillow, because I thought it was really cool. So what you're seeing in this bag here is all the cotton fill that I've pulled out of the pillow to make it adjust. So every night I've been taking out more until I got it just right. I finally got it just right. So the funny thing is when you first get this, it's vacuum sealed. So it's like really flat. And then you open it up and I'm like, well, this is definitely too big. It's just too poofy. And so I took a bunch out thinking, oh, this will be good. And that was too much. So I took more out. And then it didn't feel any different. And so I think it's like it keeps kind of refilling up now that it's got room. And so I took more out. And so I took more out until I've got enough here. I could make another whole pillow out of this. And that all came out of this one pillow. But I like this because you can adjust it. And so I put it, this is the bag it came in. So I just been stuffing it back in here. And then if I decide I ever want to put more in there, I can do that. Or, like I said, I can make another whole pillow out of that. So all you do, and this is why I left the zipper on the outside, is so that I could just open this zipper up and you just pull out as much as you want. And that's what it looks like. And you can always put some back in. I got one for Patrick too. I went ahead and ordered his after I tried this for a few days. I wanted to see what I thought. And then I ordered another one. And so after we work with these for a little bit more, then I'll be shooting a video and giving you an update on that. Because the other thing is you're supposed to be able to just throw this whole thing in the wash. And then it's supposed to wash and dry up fine. I think you're supposed to hang it to dry though. So anyway, I wanted to just share that with you if you're looking for something that's more natural. But again, if you want to wait, because this particular one, this is a standard size pillow, it was $40 for that. And I'm assuming if you're wanting to go queen size, king size, if they have them that big. They have smaller ones for children, and I know the smaller ones are less expensive. So if they have the bigger ones, they're obviously going to cost more. So if you want to just wait until I do that, more thorough video and an update. But so far, I'm really happy with this. I love that I can adjust this. It's very poofy and soft, and I can just move all that stuff around in there and have it shaped just the way I want it. And it seems to hold pretty well as far as that goes. So moving on, the next thing, I got some more questions. So I've had several people in the last few weeks asking me about nuts that they have frozen, and they're wanting this freezer space and thinking, okay, can I still take these out and vacuum seal them? Well, yes, you can. Because when I first decided to start doing that, I had a whole bunch of sliced almonds in the freezer. And I thought, why am I just not vacuum sealing these instead and saving myself space? Because I was, when I buy these things, I get at least 5-pound bags. And this was years ago. And so I pulled them out of the freezer. And here's the one thing that you need to make sure you do, because anything you freeze is going to pick up moisture in the freezer. And so what you'll want to do is like lay some towels out and then just spread all the nuts, seeds, or whatever it is out on the towel and let them dry for at least a full day. It might take a couple days. I don't know. It depends on your climate, depends on how dry and hot it is there, just to make sure there's no moisture on them when you go put them in your jar. And then, yes, you can vacuum seal them and then put them back in your pantry so you don't have them taking up all that space in your freezer. And me personally, now I've had some people say they've had vacuum sealed nuts still go rancid on them. I never have. The only jar of nuts that went rancid was was a half jar of Brazil nuts. And at first I was like, oh, these went rancid. And then I realized, wait a minute, these never got re-vacuum sealed. No wonder they went rancid. So it's the vacuum sealing that prevents the rancidity of the nuts. And you'll find that on university food preservation websites. I found a couple different places that talk about how the vacuum sealing prevents rancidity, and my experience has proven that to be true. And right along with that, I've had a lot of people coming in and talk, they see me vacuum sealing my dehydrated foods into jars, but they seem to think they still have to freeze them. No, you do not need to freeze your dehydrated or freeze-dried foods. They're dried. That's the point of drying them, is to keep them out of the freezer. So at that point, they then become a shelf-stable item. So just like any shelf-stable item, they can last for many years and likely indefinitely if you store them properly, keeping them vacuum sealed. Some things don't have to be vacuum sealed. I just vacuum seal everything just to be on the safe side. Some things are fine, but anything with fat in it needs to be vacuum sealed to prevent rancidity. And certain dehydrated vegetables, such as mushrooms in particular, and a few other things will go stale if you don't vacuum seal them. And if you're freeze drying, all that stuff needs to be vacuum sealed, or it will also go very stale and kind of turn to rubber, and you lose that crispiness. Vacuum sealing is going to help some stuff just keep a better quality. Where a lot of herbs, it's not a big deal. You can just put them in an airtight jar and they're going to be fine. Remember, even on the store-bought shelf-stable stuff, expiration dates, if you look closely, they usually don't even say expiration date. They just say best by date, typically. And that's just because they're required by the government to put a date on there. That's it. Shelf-stable food is meant to be just that, shelf-stable, and should last indefinitely and when properly stored. Okay, I got a couple more topics. One is about the, you might have seen the post I made. Both, I made it on Instagram, I made it on X, and I made it in the community section here on YouTube. And that was about the breakfast sausages. I've been making breakfast sausages for a very long time. And so especially for those who are trying to avoid pork, it's a really great option to pork bacon or pork sausages, because you can just make it yourself out of whatever meat you want. I've made it out of venison, I've made it out of elk, I've made it out of beef. And in this case, I decided to blend ground turkey and ground beef together. And it's basically the same idea I used for making the homemade pepperoni, but I used different spices. Now I do, if you want to see one of my old videos, I'll link to them down below. I have two videos on making breakfast sausage. One was with beef, and then the other one was with elk, where it didn't have a lot of fat in it. The only difference between that and the beef was I added some fat to it, because I noticed that if I do it with, a wild meat like that is very, very low in fat or no fat, that it makes a very dry breakfast patty. So having some kind of fat in there makes it a lot better. In this case, because I used the ground beef and the turkey, I didn't add any fat to it. And I simply just make the little patties. I coat them in flour. You can also use parchment paper if you want, just to keep them from sticking together. And I use the silicone bags that you can see in this photo. Now, I haven't talked about the silicone bags in a long time. They are better than the zip plastic ones, reusable ones you can get from Amazon. I have a bunch of those too. Silicone is safer for one than plastic, but also the zippers on the cheaper ones I bought, they're all wearing out. I mean, some of them I only used one time, and I already can't seal them again. Whereas the silicone ones, no problem. And the reason why that is, I had to run back and get one because I forgot to have one handy, is because it's not a zip. It's got this acrylic bar like this that you slide across there, and it keeps it very well sealed. And they're more expensive, but they're going to last much longer, and you don't have to worry about the zipper wearing out on them. So I hooked up with a small US business, and a very nice lady. She's got an online store. I've had her link in my description box for years now. And she's a very sweet lady, Magda, wonderful lady. And so I always have her link in my description box where you can get the silicone bag, and she has all kinds of other reusable items to help make your home a little more plastic free, and you can look into that. I put about 4 of those patties in each one, and so that I can pull that out and then have enough in the stock, cook them up when I'm ready, and yeah, just whatever spices you want to add for flavoring. And it's just a great way to have a more natural, something you know exactly what's in it, not a bunch of preservatives and nasty stuff in there. But also, if you're pork free and you're looking for a good bacon, I'm really hoping that our local store would get this again. I used to get this from our local store, and it's Painted Heels brand beef bacon, and it's delicious. I love it. I think it tastes better than pork bacon, and I'm really hoping they'll get it back in again, because they make some good beef bacon and they don't use all those hormones and junk. At least I know they didn't used to. I'm assuming they still don't. And then the last thing I wanted to say was about the shorts. Again, I know somebody asked me, well, is it worth it putting all the time into making the shorts if you're having all these issues? Well, two things. One is, one person helped me realize, and I found out why I never saw this before. It's because it's in one of those steps I typically skip over for the big, when I'm doing the full length videos like this, because it's not an option. But you can actually link to a related video where it shows up right on the screen of the short. So you'll see the link to the video and the channel name. So now I'm going back and adding those. So like the one I did on the eggs, I was able to add the full length link in there, and you can click right on that. I do like doing the shorts. They don't take me that long really, and it's more than just being able to post them on YouTube. Is that I can put them on Instagram and I can put them on X, and that will help draw people to my Rumble and YouTube channels as well. On top of the fact that in case you haven't noticed, I tend to use my shorts a lot in my full length videos as well. So it's really nice. I save them and I'm like, oh, perfect. I've already got this short. I'll put this in there while I'm talking about it. Just like the dragon fruit vinegar that I was just talking about. So that just makes it really nice. I can reuse them many, many times rather than it just being posted one time on YouTube. It can get used in many different ways on many different platforms. So I do really like the shorts, and they have helped kind of make up the difference for the major decrease I've had because of whatever's going on the YouTube platform. And I realize it's not just happening to me, but right at the same time, it started happening to a whole bunch of people. And I'm kind of creeping back out of it a little bit, but it's a very, very slow kind of recovering from what happened there. A lot of people are still not seeing my videos that are subscribed. A lot of people are still getting unsubscribed, and a lot of people are still not getting their notifications. I still have people coming in saying, oh, I haven't seen you in months. And it's like, well, I've been here. I've been here the whole time, still putting out 5 videos a week, and now 5 shorts a week, sometimes 6. I don't know that I'll always put out that many shorts, but yeah, it's been kind of fun. I've been finding ways to utilize that and then help get people back to my full-length videos. So you'll see a lot of herb-related videos coming out where I'll show pictures and clips of herbs that I grow, and then I'll have a video that will be linked right there on the screen to the full-length video where I talk about the benefits of. And then like with the stinging nettle one that's coming out, if it hasn't, I don't think it will have published yet, but I have 2 videos, one about cooking with stinging nettle and one about the benefits. One of those will be linked on the screen, and the other one I'll make sure gets both in the description box and also in the pinned comment. So anyway, there's the update on that. And anyway, that's it for my this and that for the week. I hope you enjoyed it. If you have any other questions you'd like me to cover in a future this and that, please put them down below. And any other thoughts and ideas you'd like to share, also put those in comments down below. And don't forget to check out the links I'll be putting in the description box by clicking on either more or show more somewhere down here below the video screen. And thanks for watching. Take care and God bless.